Welcome, viewers and listeners, to the Health Revolution, the program that shows you how to have a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity. In a sea of fads, we reveal the science-backed strategies that truly work. We explore physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery. These are the keys to an enriched life. Join us for inspiring interviews with champions who conquered life's health challenges, fueling your journey. Are you ready to unlock your potential? To live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest. Together, we're about to change the game, starting now. The information provided in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Viewers should use their own discretion and consult with a healthcare professional for personalized guidance and recommendations. Welcome, everybody, to the Health Revolution. We're excited that you are joining us today. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, and please remember, we are all things the physical strength, the emotional resilience, and the mental mastery. Our show is aimed to help all of us live an optimal life. And one of the things that we're going to tackle today is the issue of sleep and sleep deprivation, what the impact of insomnia has on us in terms of being able to function and be at that optimal level. 62% of adults worldwide have an issue with sleep disorders, insomnia, and this is an overall health concern. So today we're going to dive into how important it is to really combat any issues that we have with sleep and what we can do to improve on that. My guest today is someone who's extremely versed in studying sleep. So we're going to get to know him. First, take a look at this. Meet Manohar Grandhi, a seasoned professional in the software industry, hailing from the vibrant city of Hyderabad, India. Manohar's journey is one of resilience and discovery as he navigated the challenging waters of insomnia. In 2019, Manohar found himself in the grip of sleepless nights, seeking solace in consultations with psychologists and relying on anti-anxiety pills. But it was his exploration into meditation that marked a turning point. Initially skeptical, Manohar dedicated himself to the practice and, over time, experienced a profound transformation. His anxiety waned and peaceful sleep returned. Compelled to share his journey, Manohar authored My Sleepless Nights, a compelling book available on Amazon alongside 2 other published works. His story is not just about overcoming insomnia, but about empowering others to find their own path to serene nights. Today, Manohar is on a mission to guide individuals from anxious, sleepless nights to peaceful, restful sleep. Manohar Grandhi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Adriana. I'm doing good.
You know, one of the things that I didn't realize is how much of a global concern that insomnia and sleep deprivation and sleep problems that everybody has worldwide. Now, of course, you are in India, and we're so grateful to have you on the show. What are some things that you started to struggle with? And do you see, when it comes to sleep all around you, that this has been an overall concern with society, with who all is around you?
Yeah. So that's a really interesting question. And yeah, definitely, Adriana. So I would definitely say that this is a concern for sure. So as you mentioned in the initial intro, I was struggling with sleep. And I see a lot of people who are sleep deprived, and there are many people who even wear this as a badge of honor, saying that I can just do away with 4 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep or that kind of a thing. So that's just because right now we are living in a world where there is an overwhelm of information. So you can just get anything and everything with a click of a button, and mostly things are free. So entertainment, you can get it for free, and anything is free. But as they often say, there are no free lunches. So the cost that you are doing for getting yourself sleep deprived will catch up in the long run. That's what I would like to say.
One of the things that when you and I were talking and finding out that you are in the software industry, I can only imagine how demanding that profession is. Did you know from the beginning that that it would be something that would be demanding on your health? And did you find that sleep deprivation was a problem from the beginning of your career?
Uh, yeah. So yeah, definitely, software industry has its own set of challenges. Uh, Thanks to globalization, where people work 24/7. So this is definitely a trend that has really caught up. But I would say this was something, a baggage that I carried right from my teenage years. So it's not even before I joined the software industry. I often had one or two occasional sleepless nights. But then back in 2018, 2019 was when things started going down the drain, and I was literally struggling. So to be really honest, I was literally begging for sleep. So that was my state.
What kind of symptoms did you find that you were struggling with? Was it that you were doing everything possible? Were you trying to go to bed early? Did you establish habits or did you try to embrace habits that would help you go to sleep? What did that look like in the very beginning?
Yeah. So, like you said, I tried literally all the things which you mentioned, which is going early to sleep and all those things. So, first, I'll answer the question, what were the effects that I was seeing? One of the thing definitely was I was low on energy because I always had was sleep deprived, so I didn't have that energy to function optimally. And yeah, so I started losing hair. So hair fall was very prominent at that time. I had digestion issues. So whatever food I ate, I always had some kind of an acid reflux kind of a feeling, where always that feeling of burning in the body was there. And the scariest moment of all was when I was on the wheel on a freeway kind of a thing, and I had a micro sleep when I was driving on the wheel. And thank God nothing happened. If not, if something would have happened, I wouldn't be sharing my story.
Now, did you
Yeah.
initially talk to the doctors to say, I, look what's happening with me. I don't know how I don't know how to get to the bottom of this. Did you have a doctor that you initially spoke to first? And what was the response that you got from your doctors?
Yeah. So, like you said, yeah. So, I definitely, no one wants to live in pain for sure, right? So that was when I wanted to get that solution ASAP, which is as soon as possible. So the first thing what I thought was a sleeping pill would give me that quick solution as soon as possible. But then what happened was, instead of searching for a psychiatrist, I searched for a psychologist. So when I was searching for a psychologist, I was expecting that he would give me that sleep medication, but that was not the case. So he was basically in a talk session with me, just like you and I are talking. So he was trying to talk with me, trying to find out what was going wrong, and he identified that I was living on FOMO. And then he sent me to a psychiatrist, and he diagnosed that it was anxiety. And as you mentioned in the initial intro, I was diagnosed on anxiety, and I was given anti-anxiety pills. So that was what the doctor said.
So the psychologist or was it the doctor or was it the psychologist or psychiatrist, excuse me, who prescribed the Anxiety. It was the
The, psychi-
psychiatrist. Okay.
the psychiatrist prescribed the anti-anxiety pills.
Okay. And did they recognize how problematic your sleep deprivation was? Were they able to say, okay, we've got an issue here?
Yeah. So when I visited the psychiatrist, the thing what he suggested me was that I was not producing the right set of brain chemicals that are needed for a healthy functioning, and for that the primary culprit was anxiety of not sleeping, and anxiety was feeding insomnia, and insomnia was feeding anxiety, and it was a vicious circle that went round and round, round and round. So that is so the way he tackled I mean the doctor tackled is, he thought that anti-anxiety pills would be the solution where the anxiety would be broken. But then yeah, I'm not saying that that didn't help. It did help to a certain extent, but as you mentioned in the initial video introduction of mine, so meditation was a real game changer for me.
I'm curious to see how much of your ability to take care of work responsibilities was impacted by sleep. I know you mentioned you had a moment where it was like a microdose of sleep that you just had behind the wheel, and it was, it was just like quick and everything was fine. Did you notice, were you struggling at work? Were you struggling with carrying on tasks, maybe energy going into the evening? Were there certain things that you knew that started to be on a rapid decline?
Yes, I would definitely say that. So, like you mentioned, any meetings that were there, right? So, if there were a short kind of a meeting, I was able to concentrate. But when there were long meetings where lot of things were involved, right? So my brain started getting foggy, and in fact, I remember even in the meeting rooms, I could sense some kind of micro sleeps happening also. So that was for sure there. And relative to the tasks that I was taking, I I I could clearly see that the task which I used to do maybe in a hour, it always used to take more than 2.5 hours to 3 hours, because I was not able to focus and put that uh, effort correctly.
Were you the only one struggling with sleep at the time with in your work environment, talking to colleagues and just interacting with anyone that you worked with? Did you find that others were struggling too, or was this like, wow, what's happening with me? What's going on? How come I'm struggling so much with being able to get rest?
Adriana, so I would say that back here, I'm pretty sure that this is a global trend where mental health challenges are not openly discussed. So I was also not openly discussing this thing with the work colleagues of mine. So I was just pretending as if nothing has happened, and I was trying to just put a different kind of a face and trying to be strong. But then only I was knowing that something was wrong, and I was afraid that I would be judged. So that is the reason I would say, like, I didn't talk a lot about this.
So, being in India, I know that India has a reputation of the work ethic and really in technology and certain advancements that, in terms of medicine and such, that the demands are pretty high. How long had this been an issue before you realized, okay, I need to, no matter what happens, this is top priority. I've got to get to the bottom of this.
So yeah, so like I said, it was there since my teenage years and on and off kind of a thing where I had this for sure. But this the problem where I was struggling, I would say it was more of a month or a month and I would round it off to 2 months kind of a thing, where I realized that whatever I try, it was not working out, and basically it's beyond what I can, and that is when actually just like anyone else, right? I was looking for the quick fix, a shortcut fix, which would immediately solve the problem. So I would say a 2 months in a rounded manner was something where I decided that this is something beyond my reach.
And the first breakthrough moment that you had, what was it? When you finally discovered that you were able to get at least some quality sleep, even if it wasn't a lengthy amount of time?
uh, yeah. So yeah, basically, when I was struggling with this, I was basically in a sense of desperation. So, in desperation, yeah, I did have few days of sleep where I did sleep a continuous stretch, but all I wanted was I always wanted to check what will happen next, kind of a thing. And as I mentioned in the previous question, that is only when meditation started kicking in and started showing the results. That is when uh, things that were the situations that bothered me did not make a lot of effect. I would say lot of effect when it comes to that sleep, and I was able to sleep much better, even though when I went in with a disturbed state of mind. So that is what I would say.
So your specific breakthrough, meditation, did
Mhm.
you know that that was something you were going to try? So I'm trying to get really specific. Or was it that someone said, listen, you have got to do meditation because that's going to really help you get to where you're going to finally get some rest, you're going to finally get some sleep?
Uh, yeah. So to answer your question, I knew about meditation. Maybe I would say I heard about this maybe in the last 10 years or so, but I never thought that that would be my solution for anything. And I always kept dismissing it, thinking that that's for some kind of old timers or for people who are retired and all and those kinds of things. So yeah, but life has its own way of teaching you a lesson, saying that when you have to do it, it will keep throwing you all those challenging situations, and when you have to accept it. So that is what I did it. So to be honest, like I mentioned, I was on desperation, right? I tried meditation in an act of desperation. I didn't see results and I gave up. I gave up too soon. I just kept hopping from one form of meditation. So, from the breath meditation to the chanting meditation to another form of meditation. I just kept hopping, thinking that this will give me result, this will give me result, and that will give me result. But only then I realized that I need to stick to one form, and then only when I'm able to persist with that, that is when things will change and get better.
So, how many different forms of meditation did you try? I'm curious to know.
So I would say four kinds of things I tried, but the one which I stuck was the first one which I tried. So which is the simplest meditation, which everyone suggests is the breath meditation, which is to observe the breath that come goes in and comes out. Yeah.
And as you were doing, I love the fact that you said that you realized you gave up too soon, that it wasn't necessarily overnight life changing. Is meditation something that you find that many people do around you, or is it something that you've always known? Yeah, I know that it's a form of, it's a way to help you relax, and maybe it's not for me. So was it something you've always been surrounded by, or were you finally like, okay, this is it, we're going to try this?
Um, yeah. So to that question which you asked about, was I surrounded by a lot of people? I would say initially no. I didn't have a lot of people who did that. But as I kept doing these things, right? So I found people uh, with the same kind of thought process. So it is something like when you put your intention, right, you start seeing things which are the similar kind of things. So then I started seeing people within my society, within my community, where people were also doing it. So initially, because I never did it, I never looked in that, or basically I didn't find many people.
So it's kind of like if you're not looking for a certain color of a car, if you're not trying to look
Yeah.
for a blue car, then you don't really see it. But then if you're looking for a blue car, suddenly it's around you. So
Yes.
we're going to continue. First, we're going to take a commercial break. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Welcome to today's Fit Bite. We're diving into the essential world of sleep. Now, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. Good sleep is the cornerstone of your health, and it impacts everything from your mood to your metabolism. So first up, stick to a sleep schedule. Consistency is key. Hey, I know sometimes I'm guilty of this. Aim to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on the weekends. Now, this helps your body regulate your body's internal clock and improves the quality of your sleep. Next, create a bedtime ritual. So whether it's reading, taking a warm bath, or practicing gentle yoga, find activities that signal to your body, hey, it's time to wind down. Avoid screens before bed, as blue light can disrupt your body's natural sleep-wake cycle. Lastly, make sure that your sleep environment is inviting. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Invest in a comfortable mattress and pillows to ensure that your body is supported. So remember, good sleep is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Prioritize it like you would for any aspect of your health. Sweet dreams, and stay tuned for more Fit Bites.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Welcome back, everybody. We are conquering sleep deprivation and talking about the essentials of how to improve on your sleep. And my guest today, Manohar Grandhi, who's the author of my Sleepless Nights, he is here today. We are talking about tips and ways to help combat sleep deprivation. And Manohar, before the break, you were talking about how you began to embrace meditation. You tried four different methods of meditation. The first one was the one that really created that breakthrough. Talk through, let's pick up where we last left off. You talk about what were some changes you began to see as you stuck with this form of meditation that you were doing.
Yeah. So, yeah, the first change that I mentioned, right? So the biggest change I would say is before I started on this practice of meditation, as science automatically says that the human brain basically generates 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And most of the thoughts are recycled thoughts. So it's the same thought that comes again and again. And then in these thoughts also, 90% of the thoughts are either in the past or in the future. So we are never in the present moment, right here, right now. So right here, right now, when I'm talking with you, so I was not able to stay in the present moment for a lot of time. So that was the biggest change that happened, Adriana. So what happened was I was able to live in the present moment right here, right now. And that was like I didn't have the baggage of the past or the worry of the future. So I was just experiencing the present moment right here, right now. And then the beauty about this is the brain by design wants to move away from pain and move towards pleasure. So when you are in the present moment right here, right now, not making up all those hypothetical scenarios, right? You have worked in the design of the brain, which is avoiding the pain. And when you are accepting the present moment right here, right now, so you are also going towards pleasure. So that was the biggest game changer, is according to me.
And then, so being in the present, that was the first portion. And then at what point did you start to see some better physical changes in the body where maybe you were much more relaxed? Maybe, the levels of anxiety were coming down. What was the next improvement that you experienced?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned initially, right, I always had that acid reflux kind of a feeling, which I always had to have some kind of yogurt or something so that that feeling of acid reflux goes away. So I stopped having that in the middle of the night. So it used to be like I used to wake up in the middle of the night, have some kind of an anti-acid or yogurt or something like that, which would cool me and do that. So I stopped having those kinds of things. And like I mentioned, the hair fall, which was so drastic when I was sleep deprived, that stopped. So it did. Yeah, it's not that it's yeah. The thing is, it's not a linear curve where the results start showing up in a linear fashion. It's always a non-linear thing. Initially, you don't see any result till something called as an inflection point, and only when you hit the inflection point, that is when you basically see that result. So you need to have that patience and persist with whatever practice be it, and that is when you see results.
How much time passed between when you started the meditation and when you had a moment where you looked and you thought, oh wow, look it, I realize all the improvements that I've had? How much time would you say? And I know that it's not like very specific, but when you sat back and thought, oh look, I've grown from where I once was.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a very a subjective kind of a thing, because see, for example, you could start something and you could start seeing results maybe in 3 days itself, whereas for me it could take 3 months. So the only reason why I feel yeah, I don't have any problem disclosing the time period and all, but the problem with the time period is many people, if they are like struggling with this sleep issue, they start mapping like, okay, Manohar had 2 months of this thing. So when will my 2 months come to an end? So when you put so much pressure on the deadline, right, that again fuels your anxiety, and again you go back into that vicious circle. So to answer in short, I would say approximately 2 to 2.5 months time was what it took for me.
So several months. And yes, you're absolutely right. Results do vary. And every time we go through a physiological experience, it's not necessarily written in stone. I was curious to see how much time when it was maybe surprising for you that, oh, wow, now that I'm observing where I am today, I am noticing that these are the areas where I've improved. And so,
Yeah.
and you're thinking that it was noticeable within several months for you.
Yes.
Okay. So then after that, my guess is that things started to improve with work, or what were some of additional improvements that you notice? And I'm looking for areas in which you started to really gain some traction in bouncing back from dealing with this and this being problematic.
Yeah. So, yeah, one thing I can definitely say is I had a lot of quality time with my daughter. So, my daughter was 5 years old at that time. So, I couldn't spend a lot of time with her. So, I started having time where I and she used to sit and do some kind of a coloring in a drawing book kind of a thing. So she used to give the left side half to me and the right side half she used to color. So I started spending time where I had this father daughter bonding time. So that was one of the biggest victory I had once things started going better. And yeah, so like I said, so it things actually snowball into multiple things. So one thing actually snowballed into other. So I didn't have uh, the digestion issues. I didn't start having the definitely the hair fall issues, and like in work also. So I would definitely say that I came back to the norm where I was there, where I could do those activities, whatever activities I could do within the span of 1 hour. I used to be able to do those things in a span of 1 hour. So those are the positive side effects I could see. And the biggest cherry on the cake was because of I gone through all those things. I started getting some idea of what I should be writing in my book, which is my book is called My Sleepless Nights. So that is the cherry on the cake.
So let's go ahead and let's bring up your book. Obviously, the title is My Sleepless Nights. When did you write it, and how long did it take for you to put this for pen to pad? How long did it take for you to write it, and what are some of the backstory behind putting this together?
Yeah. So Adriana, like right from my childhood, I always had that fascination that I want to be an author, but I really didn't know that what should I write about, or what is something that I should do. So I was just seeing some videos somewhere in the internet, and one thing that definitely I got from there is you should actually talk about the mess in your life, which can become the message for someone else. So that definitely the mess in my life was this problem, and I could give that message. So I would say when I initially started, I just started by writing something, a rough outline kind of a thing. But then I was not making a lot of progress. But then what I did was just before going to sleep, or after having my dinner, after my daughter slept, I would just spend approximately 5 to 10 minutes typing on a Word document kind of a thing. And what I did was I started writing it, and then I immediately started also wearing the editor's hat. The writing and editing was happening at the same moment, and that was not seeing any progress. So just like anyone else, I was struggling. Then I realized that this is the mistake which many authors do, where they start doing both at the same time. So just focused only on writing part. So I just put 10 minutes a day, every day, writing, and maybe within 2 months, some kind of an outline was done, and some content was also done. And then I started wearing the editor's hat. I started trimming down a lot of content, and then again I went to the next round of writing, and that is how I would say more of 4 to 5 months was the time I took to completely write the thing. And then so I gave it to an editor who did this proofreading and editing in 10 days, and I did the final set of rewriting in another 10 days. So I would say approximately 6 months was what I took to write this book.
How long ago did you publish it?
Yeah, so exactly in 2020, I published it. 2020, December 31st was when I published it.
Okay, so right in the middle of the pandemic, where
Yes.
you certainly had we all had time to do things that maybe we don't always had. And so in doing so, what was the feedback that you got? Did you share the book with those around you? Were you able to? What were some of the initial feedback that you got from My Sleepless Nights?
So the first thing was everyone was really surprised that someone within our circle has started writing a book, and everyone congratulated me. And people who I really know were my friends and uh, close buddies. So I asked them to read the book, so they purchased it and they read it, and they really liked the book. So that is the good feedback I got. And yeah, touchwood, till now there have been many book reviewers also who have read the book, and they have given positive feedback to the book.
What are some essential tips? What are some foundational pieces of your book that for anyone who's watching that is struggling with sleep, where would you guide them to start so they can start addressing this and improving on their quality of sleep?
So one of the core thing, Adriana, which is like, yeah, in fact, I made that mistake, which is trying things in desperation. So we talked about how to come back to the present moment right here, right now, right? So it need not be just meditation or the breath meditation. You could also do something called as a gratitude, or you could start journaling. You could just listen to your favorite music, some instrumental music, anything that relaxes you. So any ritual that tells your brain that it is time to relax, and from the activities where your brain is continuously fed with so much of information. So just like our body has some time, it needs some time to digest the food, right? So our brain also needs some time to digest the information that is there. So we keep feeding throughout the day. So anything you try to relax your brain without an act of desperation. So without an act of desperation will is one thing that is the must, I would say, because the problem is with desperation, the brain activates the fight or flight response, and that will again increase the time it takes to sleep. So that is one thing which I would say to anyone who is saying trying to start this journey of improving their sleep.
You bring up an area that's important that affects so many people, regardless of where we live on the planet, and that is chronic cortisol levels in which the adrenals take a hit. What were some of your findings in addressing it and creating time for you when there's so much pressure to get the job done, get all your responsibilities done, check off all the things off of your to-do list for the day?
Yes, that is definitely a challenge for sure that everyone has. But then the thing which I see, I understand it the way is back in 1900s, early 1900s, there was a very prominent experiment that was done in the field of psychology, and that was called as the Pavlovian experiment. So what Pavlov did is, before giving food to the dogs, he started ringing a bell. Okay, so initially nothing happened. So the dogs didn't associate the ringing of the sound with food. But after few weeks, the dogs associated the sound of the bell with food. So this is actually called the conditioning of the brain. So what when we are yeah, I do understand when we have a very long to do list that we have to fix and all those things, but then we also have to understand that the nature has given us time which is like a day and a night of equal proportion. So the day is of 12 hours, I mean a round figure, I'm just saying 12 hours, and the night is also equal to 12 hours. So we have to learn to set boundaries to say that, yeah, so work will always be there, right? But this is my time to relax. And just like Pavlov did that conditioning, you have to do your conditioning to your brain to say that it's time to go to sleep and get the benefits of sleep and do the next day's work with a lot better. That is what I would say.
I remember the Pavlov's dog effect in college. I remember studying that and the association with the bell, and that definitely rings a bell for me. And we're going to continue this conversation. First, we're going to take a commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Share this with your friends and family and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
And now we want to give special thanks to Biomed Mobile IV for sponsoring the Health Revolution. Biomed Mobile IV is Colorado's top mobile IV therapy service, servicing throughout the state of Colorado. They offer an array of vitamins and above and beyond safety preparation. Biomed Mobile IV, your dedication to health and wellness is exactly what our show is all about. And we thank you for your support. Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Today we're tackling insomnia, sleep deprivation, and what we can do to improve our sleep so we can have the quality of life that we all deserve. My guest today, Manohar Grandhi, he is the author of My Sleepless Nights. And Manohar, as we were talking in the break, you were giving several foundational points of creating the space, embracing meditation. And what would you say to the person who maybe a man who is struggling with just the pressures of trying to take care of everything, but has never really looked at meditation? What would you say to him of where to start and how to embrace it if it's something that they're not used to doing?
Okay. So, my first suggestion to a person who is struggling to handle all those things is, the first thing is, I am always a believer, with my understanding that vulnerability is strength. It's not a weakness. So be ready and to ask for help. So the best thing you would always get is, you may get the solution, or at least you will just let that burden be off your head. So as Tony Robbins very brilliantly puts, if you are in your head, you are dead. So I would definitely say, first thing is, put this thing off your head, be vulnerable, and be ready to ask for help. So the second thing I would say, when it comes to starting with meditation or with anything, is to start small. Start small. So you could just start with a 1 minute, put a timer for 1 minute, just close your eyes and observe the breath. Your mind will wander. It is not going to stay there. So you could start with 1 minute timer, put the timer and do it consistently for 7 days and slowly increase it to 2 minutes. And if you even the 1 minute or 2 minutes of meditation definitely helps. So it is not that you need to sit for 30 minutes of meditation and only that helps. Even the 1 minute or 2 minutes of time that you give, for your brain to digest that information. That is also really good. But the more important thing is doing these things consistently. Once you do this, it builds as an habit. So these atomic habits will start showing results in the long run. So that is what I would say.
Were you surprised at how profound the mind-body connection is when you were studying and you were diving into sleep factors and what are some things that are best practices? Were you shocked at how much of a connection there was, or were you not surprised?
To be honest, yes, I was surprised. The brain, the way it is our brain is just 2% in terms of the volume of the total body. But whereas in terms of the energy, it needs more than 25% because it's doing all these things, right? So the brain, the way it works is it just starts thinking like what is really important for you to survive. So when you are sleep deprived or when there is any danger, right, the brain will just start compromising on the things that are really not important to survival. So it could be a lot of things for a lot of people. It could be hair fall for someone. It could be a problem with reproduction for someone. It could be a problem with some other areas like you're walking, you're talking. It could even be a speech problem also for someone. So the minute the brain senses that there's no danger, right, it starts distributing everything, giving that energy to each and every body organ, and that is when really healing happens. So to answer your question, I'm really not that surprised right now.
Did you ever have a conversation with your psychiatrist after you improved on your sleep? Were you ever able to circle back around to those clinicians that you reached out to? Do they know how you improved?
Yes, definitely. So the way because I was improving, right? So with the next visit, my dosage was instead of 2.5 mg, it was reduced to 1. It was just reduced by half, right? With the next visit, when I was sticking with this practice of meditation, and my psychiatrist saw that I was not living in anxiety, he again reduced it by another half. So with see, the doctors always just see the symptoms, and once the symptoms start going away, right, so your dosages also start reducing by half. The biggest problem thing I see with a lot of people is they just want the dosage to be reduced but without the symptoms going away. So once the symptoms start going away, right, so doctors have no choice than to reduce your dosage.
So, and just to clarify, you were still seeing the psychiatrist, and then there came a point where you were able to be weaned off of the anti-anxiety medication. And so then is it safe to say, so were you able to be completely off of the anti-anxiety medication?
Yes. After I started the practice of meditation, and like I mentioned, like the 2.5 months when I started, so with the first visit, after 1 month itself, my medication dosage was reduced by half, and the next one it was even tapered down. And it, like you mentioned, right, after the 2.5 to third month, I was like completely weaned out of the anti-anxiety pills. Yes.
There's research out there, newer research that talks about aligning our bodies with the circadian rhythm, as in the light and the dark of when the sun rises and the sun sets. How much of that have you seen has been an impact for you? Have you, I'm assuming that you've tried to align and adjust to make sure you're getting up as the sun is getting up and that you're going to sleep when the sun's going down. How much of that have you noticed makes a big difference with the light and the dark?
Yeah, definitely, Adriana, it makes a lot of difference because the sun is a very important aspect when it comes to luminosity. So the sun is the brightest when even the brightest of the light that we can produce cannot match the intensity of the sun. So so if you just go 200 years back when there was no light bulb, right? So automatically people had to just because it was nighttime and literally there was nothing to do, right? People had to sleep. So that was the natural way of where people had to just go to sleep. but with electricity coming in and people start working 24/7, and definitely the thing has accelerated over the last 10 years thanks to the internet revolution, where you can literally work and you can do literally anything 24/7, right? So this whatever, so people call it blue light, anything, it could be anything, but what I would feel is when you keep feeding the mind over and over and over again, right, the brain also has some needs some time to digest that information. And once you with the night setting in, you start putting your phones or your gadgets to sleep and creating your bedtime ritual, that will definitely help for sure.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay put. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this.
Hi, this is Clara Capano, your host for Women Winning Their Way, where we talk about how you can create success all on your terms. Join us Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Limelight Network here on E360 TV.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Welcome back, everybody. My guest today, Manohar Grandhi, he is the author of My Sleepless Nights, and we've been talking about conquering and combating insomnia, sleep deprivation. Manohar, where are you on the internet and social media? Where can viewers find you?
So I'm available on most of the social media platforms. So I'm available on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and of course I do have my own website. So these are the few things which you can find.
Do you have upcoming events in which you're speaking about your book, or that you've got some events coming up to where you're able to promote your book? What does that look like for 2024 for you?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So I'm planning for creating a free webinar kind of a thing. So it would be a 1 hour webinar on how you can improve your sleep. So it's tentatively titled as Sleep, the Secret Ingredient of Success. So I'll be talking about how by sleeping you can increase your chances of success. So that will be there. So I'm tentatively planning from April end, I'll be having these free webinars. That's what is the plan.
And I definitely wish you much success. And obviously this book is for, let's see if we can bring up the slide one last time. I know the book is for anyone who is really struggling, and in sharing what you were able to do and embrace it, this would be a great reference guide to combat sleep deprivation. Manohar Grandhi, I appreciate you being here and spending time with us. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Adriana. I had a great time talking with you and a lot of fun discussing a lot of topics.
Yes, and of course, for our viewers, there's a QR code over there for you, for our viewers to grab. And for all of you, of course, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button for our show. At the very bottom, you'll see our website is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. Feel free to subscribe to our newsletter. You can email us, share with us any show ideas you'd love for us to cover, and we will certainly deliver in that regard. Upper left-hand corner is going to be our QR code for our website. Feel free to grab that. And then, of course, we are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on E360 TV on the Achieve TV channel. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, we will see you soon. Take care.